Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order and point out that all the members of the Town Council are here, as well as Cliff Gravier, our Town Manager, Terry Tiemann, the Assistant Town Manager, Molly Daisy, our Town Clerk, and Will Wharton, our IT person. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item, approval of the minutes of the workshop special meeting held on March 13th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item is approval of the minutes of the public hearing held on March 13th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on March 17th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is approval of the financial report. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. This report covers the budget through March 31st, 2023. We are 100% through that fiscal year. On the operating revenue side, real estate and transfer tax, rental taxes finished well above our budgeted amount. To date, we have collected 111.8% of the budget compared to 126.7% this time last year. On the expense side, our expenses are also finished above the budget. We have expended 101.3% of our budget compared to 95.9% last year. The council will have to approve some adjustments to the operating budget for the expenses for 2023. Recognizing this report is subject to audit, I move that the council accept and approve the unaudited report.
Second.
All right.
Is there any discussion? Okay.
Just all in all, we're in good shape financially, correct?
Yeah, even though-
Financially, we're in good shape.
Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is announcements or recognition of visitors and public comment. Does anyone on council have any announcements? Anything to add? Does anyone in the attending have anything to say that's not on the agenda? Any comments regarding any item not on the agenda? Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is a report from the Planning and Zoning Commission. And Mr. Boswell's not here today, but Mr. Edmondson has graciously stepped in to provide a report.
Graciously?
Well, he had to be
Reluctantly.
reluctantly.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate you not listing everyone else who was an option before me. So, the Planning and Zoning Commission held their regular scheduled meeting on Saturday, March 18th. At that meeting, the commission voted to approve the partitioning of a property on 224 Maple Street, which has the added benefit of preserving a historic home there and splitting the lot into two lots so a family can keep the historic home and build a new home on the adjacent lot. And the commission voted to transmit the final draft of the comprehensive plan to town council. So it was a very brief meeting, but we accomplished a lot, and there is no meeting tomorrow because there's no business on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Edmondson. Any comments? Okay. I'll just make one comment. The woman who was the owner of the house on Maplewood, it was interesting because they moved here years ago and built that house, and she said her family had always said they were moving to the beach, and she was a young girl, and she cried and cried because the area was all forested, and she said, "We're not moving to the beach." She said, "We're moving to a forest." She should see it. She sees it now. It's entirely different.
Thank you for correcting me on Maplewood, too. I wrote down Maple Street.
Oh, that's all right.
It's not even in the town.
Mayor,
I live here.
Yeah.
Just one question, Scott. Yeah, thanks for your leadership on taking us through that comp plan. That was for a relatively new member. I didn't even know it existed before, so it was an interesting process to go through. Quite a body of work. I was just wondering, and I talked about this before, is there any value in just, I guess there's 10 chapters or 11, right? If you were to summarize those, somebody were to summarize, and into a one-pager, right? That could be something we could maybe utilize or hand out. 230, well, I don't know what the total document is, gets a little bit overwhelming. I don't know if there'd even be a use for it, but something a little bit more compact might be something we could.
Great project for the newest council members.
You can identify by their shirts.
No, I'd be willing
They're
to- I'd be
identified by
willing
this
to-
blue shirt.
In the comprehensive plan, there is a summary.
The light blue shirt.
There is a summary page.
Okay,
Yeah, it's there.
okay,
Yeah. It's generally in the beginning of the document, there's a summary page.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
I haven't seen, okay.
You
Yeah.
did read it,
Working
right?
through the pieces, so.
I said you did read it, including the front page?
I did, but we sort of started at the beginning, so I'm not sure how I got back to do the front page again, so.
yeah,
My bad.
Yeah, there is a summary page.
you did what I would do, which is flip to the 224 and be like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. I might as well not start. Yeah, I think that it is interesting, Mickey, because there's a lot of information in there that is like census data and things like that, which are not really pertinent to goals. They're more describing the town to the state. I guess it is possible to boil it down, and maybe we could look at that that page and see if there's anything that we could add to it or something. But it's coming to the council, so we'll have a chance to review that. And
We're going to have another chance. We're getting the final back from the University of Delaware, and then
Right.
we'll have an opportunity to review it. And if you would like to then do a more succinct summary, we would very happily entertain that motion.
Thanks for volunteering.
Okay, just to see. Is there any need for it, though? To be honest with you, or is it just a academic?
Oh,
No, it's a requirement. It's
Of the
just-
state.
Of the
No,
state.
I know it's required to do the whole thing. I'm talking about to boil it down into something
Oh,
a little
no.
bit more concise.
No, I think it's
and
important.
Is that, would there be any,
I think it's important. It's important for the average property owner and resident,
Yeah.
to see
Okay.
what our plans are for the future.
that's,
Yeah, yeah.
I also just wanted to say to Mickey, I appreciate you not putting leadership in air quotes when you said it about me, and I appreciate that very much. And then, but I did want to point out that, Lou started that. This would have been, I don't know, his 5th time doing it,
Easy.
and we really wouldn't have gotten nearly as far as we got without the efforts of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and especially Terry Tiemans, who all made it happen. So I was very loosely on the outside looking in, so.
And if you go through the document, you see a lot of things are duplicated because each one of the sections goes to a different agency. So it is possible to boil it down even further. What we also wanted to do was to go through the council and talk about priorities. So that might be helpful in terms of framing some kind of a concise document. But thank you for bringing that up.
Are we having a special meeting once that comes in, or is it just
That'll be
review?
part,
and
we'll
then-
have to have public hearing on it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so there is a special meeting.
yeah. We should be getting it back, I think, Terry, the end of the month. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah, because we're working on a timetable to have that finished into the state by September.
Yep,
Yeah. Thank you, Terry.
pretty loose, though.
The next item on the agenda is a report from the Stormwater and, thank you very much, Mr. Edmondson, and thank you very much, Mr. Hinman. Stormwater and Flooding Committee, Mr. Califf.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. We had a meeting of the Stormwater and Flood Committee. It was called to order at 10 a.m. on Monday, the 20th, with all committee members present. We also had a pretty good audience, and we had the Coastal Point present as well. Our town manager, Cliff Gravier, briefed us on the status of the steel flap bladder dam project, the beach replenishment and boardwalk crossovers, the back bay study, the town boring study, the the Sea Grant study, the Del Dot Route 1 initiative, the Loop Canal and Bulkhead and Living Shoreline projects, and the Whites Creek and Assawoman Canal dredging. Not like we don't have a few things going on in town or around. So,
Thank you, Mr.
all right, a little more.
Okay.
There were numerous questions and very positive. It was a good group. We also discussed the newly approved ordinances, adjustments, pervious adjustments, and incorporating them into the town's best practices. The committee will be working on that and probably a pamphlet, something to do highlights of the best practices to make it a little more shorter and a little more bullet-oriented, so it's easy to read, just like Mickey's trying to work on it. So, we discussed the development of our communication strategy. We're looking at putting some sort of an A-frame sign together, and some sort of means to disseminate best practices. We're lucky, as I said, to have the Coastal Point here, and they also did a report on the discussions of the meeting. We discussed the committee's following of other local and regional flood studies, including several that the Coastal Point had articles on, as well as the BBLA put out a newsletter devoted completely to flood stormwater issues, which was nicely put. The meeting ended at 11 a.m. Everything went fine.
It was a very informative meeting, very well attended.
It was.
Yeah. Are there any questions? Comments? Thank you, Mr. Kaler. The next item on the agenda is a report from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Committee. Mr. Hinman.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. I just wanted to briefly summarize what we have been working on. I want to give really special note to this team. I've had a chance to work with a lot of teams in my career, and this is one that's really stepping up and doing an amazing job. It's very collaborative, very passionate, very focused. And so Faith, Diane, Sergeant Foley, Teresa, Julie, we've sort of grabbed Julie as a de facto member. Dan, Tim, and Carl have really done us a great job, and we've gotten amazing support from all of the town staff. So I think the community is really well represented by having these folks work at a topic that's really important, right? Pedestrian and bicycle safety. So our areas of focus, we had our third meeting in March, and our next meeting will be next Thursday. The main things we've been working on is engagement with our various communities. That's sort of something relatively new. Not that we haven't done engagement before, but part of this committee to be able to bring people in and hear different perspectives and learn and sort of share best practices. We've had 2 so far, North Bethany Coalition, South Bethany. Sergeant Foley's continued to coordinate the bike safety events. We have those dates scheduled for July and August that have been tremendously successful. We're going to be shortly doing some of the analysis of the results of the current traffic study from the traffic group when that becomes available. And the last big thing we've been working on right now is the whole WAVE initiative, its rollout and implementation. So I wanted to take the opportunity just to sort of speak to that again. What WAVE's about is trying to use a sort of a concept of, literally waving to people, a very friendly community, which I think Bethany is, and combine that with this idea of raising people's awareness from a safety behavioral perspective. So WAVE stands for wait, watch, assess, verify, and engage before you're entering an intersection, crossing an intersection, and the like. So that's sort of that coming together of the happy piece as well as something more helpful for folks. So what's happened through the end of 2022 is really the development, refinement of that theme. There's a lot of great work by the team. We also developed some videos last year that were really have been available, but we really want to take advantage of those going forward. But the next steps are really where we want to try to hit the ball, get the ground running on this. So we're going to do a number of different messages to get the word out. These are just examples, but we've got the Poseidon weekend. We're going to participate in that. We've got the 4th of July parade. We've got various biking events, movie nights, and we're working on relatively new the town app so that we can be inclusive in that. So these are just the ways that we can utilize existing processes or systems to connect with people, typically in a little broader group. We've got some brochures that have been designed, upgraded. I think those have all actually been printed, so we have a stock to work from. We've got a team working on handouts, T-shirt stickers that can be part of the engagement we're doing with the community as we're engaging with them around safe ways to get across the road. We're working on these community engagement events. We're going to scope that out depending on how many people are interested. But that's literally having people out to help people and be aware of things to do when they're crossing Route 1. Very focused, very one-on-one, and maybe we hand out some things to kids and the like, T-shirts and the like. So that's really what we're looking forward to doing. We're working on that schedule. Working on various realtor-type communications to get the word out, as well as various social media connections. So that's basically what the team's been working on so far. Our next meeting is going to be very similar next week. It's going to be sort of a working meeting where each team is working on different aspects of it, and where we really can get toward the implementation in the really with the bike event in April will probably be our first opportunity. But we're excited, and this is something I think will evolve over time, but I think we're off to a good start. And I just want to give my hats off to the team and the hard work they put in. So, Mayor?
Any comments?
Yeah, Mickey, great. Looks like your team is really doing a great job. One of the things that I really hope that you can emphasize is the yellow flashing lights and crossing Route 1, because even after a couple years of this, we still have major problems, and people have to understand that the people who are on vacation don't recognize the lights, so they, as vacationers, need to know they just can't step into the street. Because even today, we did have one instance with Judy and I crossing the road. People stopped, on the other side, they didn't.
Right.
So please emphasize that.
Right. So, Jerry, you're really raising a good point, and that's really the whole intent of the videos we've been put together, right, to provide that scenario. But also, the community engagement pieces are really, and again, this is our thought. I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but literally have people, we'll have a couple team members is sort of the way we've roughed it out, as people are crossing, right, and actually help them work through that sort of the wave process of what's the right way to get across. You know, you got to wait, you got to assess what's going on. You got to verify it and then engage. So it's doing all those best behavioral practices, even while people are here, obviously on vacation, probably have other things on their mind, right? Is to sort of break that down for a second and say, look, the most important thing is how to utilize those lights, if you will, to get across the road safely, right? And so that's really spot on, Jerry. That's the intent. So.
There's another issue that I've confronted a couple of times is people with motorized bikes. They sometimes forget that they're moving at a pretty high speed, and if you're walking, especially an elderly person or somebody walking with a pet, it can be a challenge. And some of them actually come down the sidewalk. I know as many times it says no bikes on the sidewalk, it's like they don't read it. But it's something else we maybe look at in the future to see something else that we, for public safety, make us more aware of people who are on these motorized bikes.
Right. Again, Lou, I think that's spot on. That's something, and I know Diane's here on our team, that the whole idea of the motorized bikes, even these scooters, right, are going at a pretty high rate of speed, sometimes, again, a little less than focused on the traffic conditions and people. And so it's a two-way street. We want to be able to engage with them, but also pedestrians, right, to the point of you can't assume that people are going to see you.
Yes,
you know, you've
exactly.
got to stop, you got to wait, got to assess, and before you enter that. And so all these things are things we want to include and talk. Sir?
To Mr. Morris's point, one of our meetings, South Bethany made a presentation to the group, and South Bethany has actually put their own warning signs on the Rapid Beacon post, where it says warning, don't assume that you've been seen. So we're replicating those signs and we'll be putting them on our own
That's a good
beacons.
idea.
Great, great.
Good.
Can I think we've talked about this before. I'm not sure what can be done about it. But I feel like the yellow flashing lights are actually training drivers to ignore them. Because when you push, like if I push the sign right here to cross and go to the west, it lights up both sides of the street. But I'm nowhere near being on the other side of the median. So if you're driving southbound, you see those yellow flashing lights and there's no pedestrian anywhere nearby. So the more you drive down Coastal Highway, the more you see it and the less you're going to react to it as a driver. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to also work on that from the driver's standpoint.
Scott, again, that's, that's something that's come up, it's on our bucket list. We're really trying to deal right now with the pedestrian piece of that and recognizing that that's gonna be the thing you gotta make sure of, right? That the fact that there's a light flashing means nothing.
Yes.
That just means there's a light flashing. That doesn't mean there's a driver paying attention to it. You've got two lanes of traffic, obviously. One could stop, another could not. So we're gonna try to think about creatively how we can, engage that way too. The car's a little harder because, they're sort of not easily to engage with. But we're going to try to address that too. Our first reach, I think, right now is really on the pedestrians, particularly, and bikes as we cross that. But those are all things we got to try to get to.
Yeah, like a first step, and I apologize for not doing this at the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Committee hearing instead of here, but like, it could just be as simple as that button, when you push it, only lights up the first half. Only lights up the northbound lanes.
Right.
Then when you get to the median, you push it again, and then at least it's not training drivers. You still have that expectation. I think those signs are a beautiful idea and make a lot of sense.
Right.
But but just not training drivers to ignore it, which is what happens. Because if you drive down here in the summer, every one of those lights is going to be lit up all the time.
We'll make the inquiry to our Del overlords and see what
Yeah,
they say.
I realize it's kind of out of our hands, and I also know people are ignoring them anyway. I was with our dog on the path by the Asselman Canal Trail and lit up the sign, and a state trooper went right through it, and with people on both sides, and it's like, well,
I walk the same path.
yeah. And if the state trooper doesn't notice, can you expect a regular driver to notice? But
Hey, you almost hit me.
So Scott, again, to try to just build out this thing one more piece, is that literally what we're thinking about with this engagement is literally helping. Say you have a group of people. We're going to sort of talk through with them, hey, we got a road to cross. Here's the best practice. And we'll do it with them. And so then you get to the first part, and then you reemphasize the part. Now I got to hit this again. I got to go through that same process. So it's spot on. I mean, those are all the issues that. So this is really just a sort of a first start, but I think we've got some good momentum and things to take away. So thanks, everybody, for your contribution. Anybody else from the community to add to that? Sir? Yeah, would you please?
The only other thing I'd say is the yellow lights, just like yellow traffic lights, that's a signal to speed up. Maybe red lights might, engage people a little more. But the signage and everything else sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. So that there's been a lot of conversation. Some of the feedback we've gotten already is we need to make those red, and that's part of our practice, or that's part of what we're considering. I'm not sure we have complete control over that. So
We have no control and over Delaware Route 1.
Right.
And the solution that Delaware Department of Transportation offers in these circumstances are these rapid flashing beacons. We have asked a number of different times for a number of different areas for them to consider additional red lights, but they're not forthcoming, and it's not something they will consider.
And it's still that, I get it. Just thought I'd put my 2 cents in.
no, thank you. That's what we're going to keep. That's the one thing I did mention, though, as part of the feedback, we've gotten some of our community members who aren't actually on the committee have come forward with us and shared some really good ideas and best practices. So we want to continue that. The meetings we've had so far, it's been a very upbeat, very positive, raising a lot of issues. Not that we can solve them all, but we've got our bucket list is getting pretty deep on things we're trying to address. So thank you, sir.
Anybody else? I just want to say I've attended several of the meetings, and there really is a good energy going forward. It's very difficult to re-educate people or to get them to do something that's not convenient for them that they don't want to do. So I would say one thing about that, the red lights. I remember reading a couple of years ago, DelDOT did a study when they did the study here on how well these yellow lights were working, and they found that the ones in Rehoboth were actually increasing accidents and not decreasing them. And one of the reasons was basically what Scott pointed out, that the whole thing lit up across both north and south. And what I noticed last week in going up there is that now only half of it, one side lights up, and then when you get to the middle, you press the button and the other side. I don't know if that's going to, that was with the red lights, and I don't know if that will make a difference or not. They'll probably take another look at that. But thank you very much. Great work. Okay. I think the next item on the agenda is the 4th of July Parade Committee. Mr. Fry.
Mayor, council, the parade committee met April 17th, and we had a very, very large turnout. I think it was the donuts and coffee. Raymond Miller reported that the call for volunteers to sell our parade T-shirts went very well, and in fact, as of yesterday, the whole calendar is full. The first time will be May 26th. Speaking of T-shirts, the committee will meet on May 22nd in this room to fold and box the shirts to get ready to sell. Julie Maliski has 5 confirmed bands for the parade. They cost a little more this year with inflation, but we're in good shape. Maureen Kilmer has the bike decorations all set, and she has agreed to distribute the town's new bike safety brochures that we just heard about at her table. Julie Maliski's assistant, Emily Woods, is back again this year, and she has agreed to find children for me to carry the town banner, which is the beginning of the parade. New this year, the Addie C has offered to run a free water and lemonade stand at their corner for thirsty parade participants and spectators. And also new this year, Police Captain Darren Cathell will send code red calls to advise residents of street closures during the parade. That has been an issue for some people. And finally, we will meet again on Monday, June 12th. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fry. Any questions? We are all looking forward to it. Yeah. Anybody? Okay. And last but not least, a report from our town manager, Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, on a side note, I see that Mr. Hinman has really dropped the gauntlet to other committee chairs with his presentation here, and we'll help all the other committee chairs, like the Treasury.
Absolutely.
We'll help you put together your PowerPoint presentations going forward.
Okay.
All right?
Please keep your expectations low for planning and zoning.
If we can find out who's doing the presentation.
I mean, if it's anybody but me, keep them high.
It's always the new guy that causes a problem.
Yep.
Beach replenishment is on its way. It started a few weeks late in Rehoboth. They are now actively working. They're not pumping at the rate they wanted to because they had some initial problems, mechanical problems with some of the pumping equipment, and they're working to repair them. The tentative date for replenishment to get to Bethany Beach, if everything goes perfectly, there are no weather problems, no mechanical problems, will be May 19th. So I think we can anticipate being very, very close to Memorial Day with the startup for the project. They estimate, again, with everything working and no weather issues, they estimate 2 weeks to complete the project. So I could see that we could easily be into very, very close to the beginning of July, if we're not very, very lucky and fortunate. The good news is there was some concern that some of the measurements the Corps had done for this replenishment had occurred after one of our substantial weather events. And they were petitioned, I think, by our congressional delegation to take a look at pre-storm measurements, and they've added an additional 75,000 cubic yards of sand to our 245,000 cubic yard project. So that's a positive. They added 100,000 to Rehoboth, but still our 325,000 cubic yards of sand will be the biggest replenishment of any of the municipalities that are being replenished. Wow. Parking, it's hard to imagine that just several years ago we were running our parking operation with 1,000 individual mechanical meters. that needed batteries, that needed to be maintained, and needed to be emptied manually, sometimes 2 times, 3 times a week, depending where they are. We're finally getting rid of our final 150 individual meters on North and South Pennsylvania Avenue, and we'll be adding 7 parking kiosks to our array, which will bring us to a total of 52. And all our individual meter heads will be gone. We'll be talking to the fire department to see if they want to. In the past, you've auctioned them off and done other things with them as a fundraiser. We'll see if you all would like to pick them up also. Our water department, as you know, and we've talked about it here recently, draws its water from deep aquifers, not a shallow aquifer like Rehoboth or Lewis, which is fairly close to the surface and sometimes can be impacted by man-made substances or chemicals. The deep aquifers don't have that problem, but what you have with the deep aquifers are issues with minerals in the ground. And the mineral in the ground that causes us the most problem is iron. We take hundreds of thousands of gallons of residual iron sludge out of our water every year. And we do that with a clarifier. If you've ever seen the water plant, you'll see the man-made hill, the 56-wide concrete structure, circular structure that's at the top of that hill, and that's a clarifier that separates the iron from the water and then deposits it in our sludge pond, if you will. That clarifier and its work has been problematic for the town for a number of years and requires some very strange attempts, very hard attempts to clean it. The system has to be shut down. We either borrow water or we do it in a point in time where we can pull water from existing stands to actually get the clarifier clean. Rube Goldberg did a number of years ago with another engineering firm, but it's still not where we want it to be. This past year, we've commissioned a new engineering firm that we're working with that's been very positive in its response to us to take a look at the clarifier and look at solutions on how we can resolve the issues that we have and how we can create some redundancy at the water plant in the clarifier. Having the clarifier go down with any sort of substantial mechanical problem would create a substantial problem for us. We would not be able to take the iron out of our water, and we would not be able to deliver potable water. This firm has come up with a number of recommendations. The primary one, and the one that makes the most sense for us from a cost perspective and the fact that it creates redundancy, is the creation of an additional clarifier at the water plant. We'll be I asked to put this on an agenda for a workshop. We'll go in more detail, possibly have the engineer present, or at the very least Sean Cooper, our water department director there, to talk to the council about this. If it's something we decide to move forward with, it would require a referendum and voter approval because the borrowing period would be greater than 5 years. It would be similar to what we did with the water plant in terms of the approval process. So that is something I think we'll be talking about and thinking about here in the very near future. One of the things that's come out of the discussion we've had, some of the discussions that we've had at the Pedestrian Traffic Committee, was the idea that we tried to do something a little bit more in terms of electronic outreach, and we were talking specifically about doing something, reaching out to realtors and trying to deliver our traffic safety message. From that, as we began to think about it, we're moving ahead with developing a Bethany Beach app, if you will. And I ask that you, if you have an interest, go to Experience Ocean City, the Experience Ocean City app on your phones, and it's an app that's been created by their Chamber of Commerce. It has more of a commercial bent, ours wouldn't, and you'll get an idea of what we're talking about in terms of creating an app. We have a lot of information on our website, but not everybody's walking around with their laptop or their iPad. And the app, with the ability to scroll through a number of different areas, would, I think, create a really, really great thing for us to have in the community, not only for visitors, but for residents too. You could pull up, we'll talk a little bit about our trash schedule. You could pull up any one of a number of things and just have it on your phone, have it on your app, and access it any way you want. So Julie is running chairing a group of staff and putting that together, and they've had one meeting. She's meeting with the developer here again this coming week, and I think it's something, if we can get it done, will require constant upgrades and upkeep. I think it'll be a real asset to us. Around town right now, you've seen a number of very large red bike lane signs, and they're very large. They're put on 2 posts, and they're stuck right in the middle of the shoulder of the roadway. They are not Bethany Beach signs. We've had a number of people call and complain, tell us how homely they are. They are signs that are specific to the project on Jefferson Bridge Road where they're installing the sidewalk. DelDOT has a mandate that when they're working on something like that project, those signs have to be displayed in a radius, geographic radius around their project, and that's what those signs are. One of our esteemed Assistant Town Manager Terry Tieman's main responsibilities here is working to find us grant opportunities, and she and her cohort, Lisa Chase, our grant coordinator, have done an excellent job for Bethany Beach, and we are far better off fiscally these days than we might have been without their work and effort. One of the things that they've done is seek some federal funding for our Lake Bethany land strip preservation project, and that total project cost is $843,000. With their guidance and with their work, we submitted a request federally, and we're pleased to note that Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester has chosen this project to submit to the House Appropriations Committee for consideration, which is a giant step forward. Goodness knows where it goes, but at least we're there, and would be a great, great thing for us. And Mayor, Council, that's all I have.
Any comments?
Cliff, were you going to talk about the parking lot over here? No?
Okay. I just see all these handouts.
All these
and I-
handouts, I figured you were going to give us a first introduction to this.
But one thing I did forget was, again, Terry, in looking at the work she's doing in Lake Bethany regarding the trash container pickups, one of the things that struck her was the fact that we have a 12-page trash schedule, and it's cumbersome. So she had a great idea. She put Andrea Harpster to work on it, and and you have a copy in your packet there. They've condensed it down to 2 pages, and I think what we will do with it is have a Zone 1 and a Zone 2 refrigerator magnet, print them up and mail them to everybody, so you can just see it. It is confusing with the zones and the multiple pickups. We do a lot with trash pickup, and sometimes it's hard to get your head around. I've been here 20-some years, and I can't figure it out, so.
Come on.
And we're on a different, the trash schedule lists us as Zone 2, but yet we get picked up with Zone 1. So I think there's a lot of confusion.
That's Terry's
surrounding
fault.
it. That's
So,
what-
I said, that's Terry's fault, so.
That's Terry's fault.
That's true as long as you're mayor. It goes right back to Zone 2 after that.
Hey, our community gets picked up every day.
So, Mayor, you couldn't find a different time to tell me this?
One question, we're getting additional sand. Is that going to extend the period of time the 2 weeks into 3 or 4?
I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
oh, that's the second thing I've asked you that you didn't. Sorry, Cliff.
it'd be lucky if your trash gets picked up at all.
She lives way far away from us.
Jerry asked me to ask that question.
Okay.
Boy, oh boy. Poor
This-
You know, along with the beach replenishment thing, I know you don't know all the answers to it, but every night, the WBOC shows you the beach up in Rehoboth, and I have yet to see the dozers running. They're always sitting there, nobody around, nothing going on. So I don't know who think they're fooling, but nothing's happened yet.
But it is truly the gift horse whose mouth you can't never look in, so I mean, it's, yeah.
I would just add one thing to what you said about Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester. I'm grateful, we're very grateful to her, but the whole Delaware delegation has been very good to us.
Yes.
They have
Yes, they have.
supported a lot of things that we've asked them to support without question, and the 3 of them together, not just 1 or 2, but all 3. So just publicly, I would like to acknowledge that and thank them.
I agree.
And thank you, Terry. Yeah. And thank you so much, Mr. Gravier.
Mayor,
Okay, the next item on the agenda will be donations, and I'm going to ask Brian Martin to come up, please.
You want to bring a check with you?
Oh, yes, thank you. And I think I can say without I think everyone would agree with my saying that
Mic on?
we love our Bethany Beach volunteer
That
fire
mic on?
and our ambulance service, and we're very grateful that we have you in our community. These are among the most wonderful public servants. They give up all their time, and they're ready to go on the spur of the moment. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. They, they respond to a call immediately, and I know Brian, for example, is self-employed, and that's a doubly grateful for that because, you know, if you're employed, at least you get a paycheck. If you're self-employed, you have to be working while you don't get paid. Yeah. So anyway, so we're very grateful to you, Brian, for that. We have the Bethany Beach Fire Company not only serves Bethany Beach, it has a 17 square miles it serves from the Indian River Inlet all the way down to Fenwick Island and out to the Assawoman Canal, right? They have about 10,000 structures, and they about 2,500 people in town during the winter season, and it goes to about 30,000 in the regular season. So they do a great job, and you also have mutual assistance. A service helps serve other fire companies as well, as backup. Yeah, so they do a great job, and we are very grateful to them. And we want you to always be here with us. And Brian is the president of the Volunteer Fire Company. He spent 24 years with the company, and he had served as chief before as well. So he's seen every facet of it, and he does a great job, and we are very grateful to him. They have a number of fundraisers each year, and I'd like to give them a plug. The ADC just had one for you last Sunday, and I attended. It was very well attended, and we hope that that continues every year. My sisters all come down for the Artisan Festival in October and do their Christmas shopping, so I would urge everyone to support that as well. They have a great diversity of vendors, and they do a terrific job. And Brian, I'd also like you to ask to say a couple of words and plug anything you want, including recruits.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is kind of a special year for us. This is our 75th anniversary. In 1948, we were established, so this June will be our 75th year. You'll see during the 4th of July parade this year, we're going to have some extra banners, you know, promoting those years of service. We'll also have some additional stickers on the trucks that we're going to keep on there for the rest of this year. So that's exciting for us. We'll celebrate as a company at our annual awards night, and we're going to try to beef up our invitation list to some other groups this year for that celebration. So that's something that we're proud of. Our auxiliary this year has, as the mayor said, been doing a lot of fundraisers. I'm sure everybody has seen our new digital sign that we thank you for the approval of. But we will putting all of our fundraisers out there this year. Our next big event will be the 4th of July parade. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, we do the bike races and runs. And then in the fall, we kick back in with the Artisans Festival and some other great events. So please come out. The ADC event, as you mentioned, was fantastic. More vendors this year than last year, and it was really neat seeing both properties this year. So we thank you for your donation, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. And we look forward to going into some future negotiations and contracts that are soon to expire. So thank you.
Thank you. And let's thank Brian. Thank you, Brian. And Barb, would you come up, please? Barb is president of the South Coastal Library, Friends of the South Coastal Library. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Barb and working with her on the board for a couple of years, and now she's president, and I'm off the board. So but anyway, prior to 1978, it's hard to believe that Bethany Beach had a bookmobile, and we were a stop on the bookmobile. That was it. And since 1978, when they had a trailer put in here, and on the land that the town owned. And ever since then, the town and the county and the state have been partners in supporting the library. The town donated the land for the present South Coastal Library, and even though the state gives some support, the county gives the operating support, and the Friends supplement that. We wouldn't have all the programs they have, the free programs and the opportunities for children, the programs out at Lord Baltimore, and the many things that they have there if it wasn't for the fundraising efforts of the Friends of the South Coastal Library and all that they do. So, Barb, it is a pleasure to present you with this. And one of the reasons, so people know, the Friends of the South Coastal Library, as well as, we support the library, the town does, as well as the Volunteer Fire Company, because they are quasi-governmental entities. And if we didn't support them, there'd have to be some way of doing it. So that's the reason. But Barb, you want to give a plug for the upcoming fundraiser?
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. We're very excited about the Bethany Beach and Bay Cottage Tour this year. It's another hybrid event. Those have, I think, been very successful. We'll have 10 homes that will be videotaped and available for people to watch at their leisure. Those are people tell the story of their home, essentially. It's sometimes the builder is involved or the architect. It's incredibly cool, I think, the video ones. In person, on July 26th and 27th, there'll be 5 tours through homes that you can walk through. So you can buy a combined ticket with the video tour and going through 5 houses, or you can buy just a video ticket, so people don't even have to be in town. The video, those will be available from July 16th through August 6th, so you get 3 weeks to watch. The website is almost virtually ready to go now. So look for that, please. Look for buy your raffle tickets and your tour tickets. We appreciate your support so much. This early money helps us really get everything rolling and underway before those ticket sales, start in earnest and we start to bring in a lot of money for the event. So we hope you're proud of the event. We very much appreciate your support.
Thank you for all you do for the library. And I think the ticket sales go on May 1st, I think the thing, yeah. Okay, thank you, Barb.
Pitch, love to have any of you consider, or if you know someone who would be interested in serving on our board, we'd love to have you. It's a great group of people and a great cause. So I brought a little bit of propaganda. Thanks.
Thank you, Barbara. Let's thank Barbara. Thank you, everyone. There's no old business. The first item under new business is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on a supplement to the fiscal year 2023 operating and capital budgets. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. I think everybody can understand that budgets for the past year have been quite hard to meet. Things seems to be always going up in price and so forth. This amendment will adjust the previous approved fiscal year operating and capital budgets to batch better the results that we had. During the year, the town experienced cost increases higher than anticipated, than the budget was originally prepared for. The operating budgeting needs to be supplemented by $300,000 due to the increase in personnel, diesel fuel, also irrigation improvements to Central Park, survey and mapping for the Loop Canal, and flooding studies. The capital budget is being supplemented by $21,000 to cover higher than budgeted costs for 3 vehicles that we purchased. We are lucky in a way that these will be supplemented from the revenue budget that actually ran over the budget this year. I make the motion to approve this supplement for the 2023 operating and capital budgets.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Morris. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible vote regarding adjusting the fiscal year 2023 special fund budget to match grant funds actually received. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this is quite an unusual year. The town applies every year for grant funds from federal, state, and other sources. In the fiscal year 2023, the budget was prepared over a year ago using estimates from previous years. Grant funds awarded to the town this year have exceeded estimates by $840,088. Most of these additional funds came through state agencies, which you had applied to before. The town appreciates the state financial assistance with several town projects. This amendment will adjust the revenue and expense budget to the town's special funds to match grant funds that were actually awarded to the town during the past year. I make a motion to approve the supplement to the 2023 budget, or special budget, as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on the town's investment policy. Mr. Morris.
Does anybody else want to talk?
This is the
Investment-
Morris
The investment policy. Per the policy, the town invests with the highest priority and preservation of principal, followed by liquidity, then return on investment. The town diversifies its investment by type, institution, and maturity date. Investments are restricted to 2 years or less. The town requires proof of collateral whenever account balances exceed the FDIC insured amounts. The town investment policy and list of investments are reviewed by the town council every year. You have a copy, but were provided by the town in advance of this meeting. CDs purchases close to 2 years ago were only getting tenths of a fraction of percent. Actually, the new investments, which are really good for us, are now paying 5%, so the income is going up significantly. I make a motion to approve the town investment policy for the, another year.
Have a second. Any discussion? I would point out on the investments that the town has, that they are completely insured.
Yes.
That- Not like Silicon Valley, where there was 85% of the deposits were not insured. The town is not permitted to invest in anything that is not insured, so all the money is basically in CDs. And thank you for the conservative investment policy,
Yes.
Mr. Gravier
Yeah.
and Ms. Connery.
Yeah, the previous administrations that developed this policy made sure that it was
Yes.
relatively conservative. As a result, sometimes we don't get the investment return that we would like. As we said, previous CDs weren't paying very much, but that also protects the taxpayers' money so that we don't lose it.
Right.
So,
And it's served us well over many years.
Many
Thanks
years.
to previous councils as well. We have a motion on the floor in the second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible vote to update the town's purchasing policy. Mr. Morris.
thank you, Mayor. Town purchasing policy was established May of 2014 and was last updated in August of 2021. The policy sets the bidding requirements for when 3 quotes or bids are required, or when a formal bid or RFD process must be followed. The policy states, the town references thresholds by the state of Delaware. When the state of Delaware modifies thresholds to the town must adjust their policy to match. In January this year, the state increased the threshold needed for formal bidding, and in March, they increased the threshold for open market purchases. The proposed changes to the town budget purchasing policy incorporated both these changes. The previous and the new adjustments are on the information provided prior to this meeting. I make a motion that you approve these revisions to the town purchasing policy.
You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Mr. Morris.
I have one more comment.
Oh, sure.
Since Mr. Hinman has set the stage for us to come up with some kind of logo or something for our department. I decided, I think we should get a picture of Uncle Sam to represent the budget department, and we'll put either the mayor's picture on there or Clip's picture, and that will be the cover sheet for the budget from now on. You like that? You don't want that?
It should be your picture.
No, I'm just a servant.
Now that we have deficit issues, I mean, I think you should.
I agree.
That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Okay, next item.
That's me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Discussion, that's right? We did all three, his, right?
Copy of this.
Discussion, consideration, possible vote to add Matt Kirks as the member of the Stormwater and Flooding Committee. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kilmer. Matt Kirks has been someone who's attended the past Stormwater and Flooding Committee meetings, the past couple of committee meetings, and he's shown a keen interest in everything that's gone on at the meeting and the issues that have been discussed. And because of that, Mr. Ron Califf here has asked that we put him as another member of the Stormwater and Flooding Committee. He has a good background, which you have in your packets there, so I'd like to make a motion that the council add Matt Kirks to the Stormwater and Flooding Committee.
Second. Oh,
All those in favor?
she said I'd like to make a motion.
And you said second.
I said second.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Did anybody have any discussion involving Mr. Kirks? None?
I just wanted to say, I've actually worked with Matt on his own house. You can see his resume right there. He's got a tremendous amount of experience in the area. I think will be a huge credit to the Stormwater and Flooding Committee, helping to, solve an unsolvable problem. But I think if anyone can help you do it, Matt can help you do it. So.
It's also nice to see other people joining in and working
Yes,
with the town.
absolutely.
I really appreciate that,
Right. Well,
really do.
He came forward to show an interest, and he's a land surveyor.
I also appreciate us putting him at the very end of this, so he had to sit through all of this with us. just to prepare him for committee hearings.
Oh, so he's forced to stay to the end, you mean?
Well, I mean, he basically almost did it. He got one more thing, right? Yeah. That's right.
Well, welcome, Matt, really. Yeah.
I do have one question on just process. You said we're adding a committee member. Do we need to adjust anything in our town charter? It's fine.
No,
Okay.
because I think you have, what do you have, 6 now?
We have 6, yeah.
Yeah, so this would be 7, and
Okay.
you're allowed to have 9.
Okay.
Okay.
And I want to agree, I think Matt will be a very good, I think his experience and from my discussions with him, he's been very active at meetings. I think he'll be a very good addition.
I think so, too.
A motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of adding Mr. Matt Kirks as a member of the Stormwater and Flooding Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Matt, welcome to the,
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Welcome, Matt.
Don't get up and leave.
Almost there.
And for your first assignment,
Okay, the next item is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on a contract submitted by I.G. Burton for the purchase of a 2023 Chevy Tahoe Police Package Vehicle for the amount of $45,995. Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, Council, you have a purchase order for the purchase of a 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe police package vehicle of $45,995. This is an increase in the police department's fleet, reflects the addition of 2 new officers to the department. The retail window sticker on this is $52,606. It's being purchased from the state contract for $45,995. $30,000 of that cost is coming from a grant from the Sussex County, and the remainder, $15,995, is coming from the police department's budget, and those dollars are there in the budget.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of a 2023 Chevy Tahoe with the police package for the price of $45,995.
second.
Any discussion?
Sorry.
Any discussion?
Cliff, is this the one we ordered long time ago?
That came in. You had approved the purchase of that over a year ago, last
Yeah.
January of, was it 22, I think, right?
Yeah.
This is another one that just
Another one,
came
oh,
in.
okay.
so.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Does anybody have anything else they want to? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much, everyone on the council, for your contributions. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.